Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to Broku. Here's another video on My Hero Academia. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done one, but I decided I was finally going to do it. So this video is an issue I have with Deku, and like the beginning of his character. I've talked about this in other videos and in tweets and stuff like that. And it's basically that Deku didn't do strength training like he could have. And so basically, the whole basis is that there are characters or heroes or villains with quirks that aren't superhuman speed, strength, or durability, but they have superhuman strength, speed, and durability through training. And there's even people who become quirkless who have feats of superhuman speed, strength, and durability, like Mirio taking on Overhaul without his quirk, and Knuckle Duster taking on enhanced quirk users without having a quirk. So the thing is that there are people that can... There's so much evidence in the series that if you train, you can get to levels of superhuman level stats. And yet Deku somehow doesn't realize that, or maybe he does and he just doesn't have hope, and he doesn't do it. So this is kind of, I guess, my critique. Now, I do want to come in here and say, I love My Hero Academia. It's one of my favorite series of all time, so I'm not coming here and saying I hate it. In fact, I just pre-ordered tickets to go watch the movie this week in theaters. And no, I don't hate Deku. I actually really like his character, especially now. In the beginning, I do think he was a bit of a weaker character, but especially now in the manga, he's really progressed into being one of the best main characters in Shonen Jump and manga as a whole. So, I do not hate Deku, I really like his character, and I love My Hero Academia. So this is not a hate video, just, I guess, getting things off my chest, because I see mainly this stems from, I guess, the bad My Hero Academia stans who like to shit on Asta. And really, a lot of these critiques should be levied at Deku instead. Deku lives in a world where 80% of people have quirks, 20% don't. And in Deku's world, you can be quirkless and still live a good life, a normal life. In Black Clover, you can't. And even if you do get magic in Black Clover, it's much worse because there's a class system. There is peasants, commoners, nobles, royals. It's a much worse world. Asta was going to be much worse off without a quirk, or without a magic, than Deku was without a quirk. And Asta, it was, in Black Clover, from what we see in the canon manga and anime, nobody else is magicless. Yet, he's a 15-year-old, still training, hoping he'll get magic. So, despite all logic saying he isn't going to get magic, because he doesn't have it yet, he still trains. Deku, he knows from the beginning he's not going to get one, and doesn't train at all. Now, people say, oh, well, he trained mentally with his books and taking notes on heroes. That was almost a bit more of being a fanboy of characters, and it ended up helping him in the long run. Yes, I'm not saying it didn't help, but that was more so, he just was a huge fan. He loved heroes. It was more so that. Now, some of it was actually analysis that he was doing, but it was mainly kind of luck that it would help him out in the long run. But it was a skill that he did develop to the point where now he's really good at analysis and fights and things like that. But the thing is, I do need to bring up is that, like I said before, you don't need to have a quirk to have superhuman speed, strength, or durability. You can be a hero, or be a hero-level fighter without having a quirk. Example, Endeavor has a fire quirk, but he has superhuman speed, strength, and durability as well, despite just having a fire quirk. It's because he trains. Hero Killer Stain, he has a quirk where if he tastes your blood, he can control your body, make you stop moving. That isn't a superhuman strength, speed, or durability quirk, yet he's taking on Deku, Todoroki, and Ida all at the same time and barely loses. It's because he could train his other physical stats to be superhuman levels. Mirio loses his quirk, and what does he do? He fights on 2 quirked villains while drunk and holds his own for 15 minutes. No normal human is surviving 15 minutes against Overhaul. Mirio does it, and it's basically stated it's because of how much he trained with his quirk, and he is now this big buff boy. Then you have Knuckle Duster, if you don't know, he's in My Hero Vigilantes. It's a spin-off manga. It is canon to My Academia. And Knuckle Duster's a guy who used to have a quirk, and now he's kind of like the Batman of the My Academia world. He's quirkless, but he's so strong, he physically trains. He has feats of superhuman strength, speed, and durability. He can one-punch knockout like these quirk users who their body is turned into a giant stone, and he like one-shot knocks them out. So Knuckle Duster's quirkless, yet he gets to these levels of superhuman strength where he could be the same level of a hero. Now, people will say, well, yes, Deku didn't train. That's because you have to have a quirk to get into UA and to become a hero. If he was training, didn't get into UA, he would become a vigilante, and that would be basically a criminal. But here's the thing, guys. Being a hero isn't about doing what is legal. It's about saving people and doing what is right. Batman is a vigilante, but he often saves people and does the right thing. Sure, he breaks laws like you're not supposed to. If you're not an official officer, you can't go out looking to stop crime. You can stop crime if it happens upon you, or if it happens upon somebody close to you. But if you go out seeking to stop crime, it is technically illegal. But is it a wrong thing to do if you have the power to do so? No. Being a hero isn't about doing what is legal. It's about saving people and doing what is right. Just because the system is flawed doesn't mean that Deku could become a vigilante and it'd be a bad thing. Now, this leads into the next point, is that, people say, oh, well, this is like what All Might said. He was too young to train, so he couldn't have trained. And, well, while that is somewhat true, he had to start off slow with his training. It doesn't really change anything. Within 10 months, Deku, his base before he took in One for All, was nearing like superhuman levels for his body type. Just look how like small Deku was, and he has All Might on his back. He's running through sand with All Might on his back. All Might weighs over 500 pounds. And so there's this YouTuber I watch. His name is Jujimufu. He can walk on grass with a 500 pounds on his back in bar form, which would be easier. He can't run with 500 pounds on his back, and this guy's like a 230 pound steroid user, right? Deku was much smaller, much less muscle. It'd be way more awkward to hold All Might in that position than rather a bar with equally distributed weight on your back, and he's running through sand. And he's running, not walking. That's like a superhuman level feat almost, especially for his body type. That's just with 10 months of training. If Deku started earlier, he could still start slower. And then build up to what he would eventually become. So that is, Deku's 10 months training with All Might is even more proof that you can train to superhuman levels of physical strength, speed, and durability without having a quirk. He didn't have a quirk, and he got to the point where he put 550 pounds on his back and ran through sand. I urge you guys to try and see if you can do that. I definitely could not do that. I mean, sure, I could put the weight on my back and squat it pretty easily, but definitely not running through sand with it, especially if you have to convert my body to like the 140 pounds that Deku is. So that isn't really a point. He could start training at a slower rate earlier when he didn't have a quirk. You have all of this. You don't need to have a quirk. And even people who do have quirks, they still physical train. And you have the point that, okay, sure, he could have been maybe a vigilante. But remember, Deku did apply to UA before he even knew he was going to get One for All. So imagine he applies to UA, alright? So maybe he doesn't have a quirk. But he has superhuman strength, speed, and durability through his many years of training. Let's say he started training for 3 years before this point, and he goes to the UA exams. And what if he does all the things, passes the exams? You can actually argue that Deku, through just training, could have easily gotten past his own 5% self if Mirio, through just his own physical stats, could fight overall for 15 minutes. So, if Mirio could do that, Deku does that. If he is using let's say if Deku with no quirk but he trained was equal to 5% Deku, he's gonna pass all of the tests. He's already a really smart and analytical guy. Yeah, he doesn't have a quirk, but is UA gonna maybe think, oh, does he just have a strength quirk and we didn't catch it? Or, oh, this guy, he doesn't have a quirk, but he can be a hero. It doesn't really matter. There's always a first for everything. Even if nobody's gotten away with wild quirkless, there could still be a first for everything. That's kind of how the world works. And kind of tying back into what I was talking about, the society of Japan and My Academia, it's not a completely just society. They are restricting people's rights and expressions. You can't always use your quirk. You need to get a hero license, right? And it's kind of similar to how Japan is with gun rights, you know? It's really hard to get guns in Japan. It's like almost impossible. Whereas the United States, we have the Second Amendment. We can own AR-15s, pistols, shotguns, sniper rifles. If you apply for an extended license, you can get fully automatic weapons. You can get tanks. You can get rocket launchers. I'm being serious about that. So that's why I also want to say I want to really see America more in depth in My Academia. I wonder if in their society, in this universe, if you don't need to have a hero license to really use your quirk a lot. It's probably kind of like, you know, there's states in the United States where you can open carry a gun on your hip. You don't even need like a license. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to maybe seeing. But yeah, this is like an issue I have with Deku. He definitely should have trained. He could have. He should have. And it's just weird that he didn't. It's almost like he was just blind to the fact that there are people with non-strength or speed quirks that have super strength or super speed, but he just doesn't train for it anyways. And this is a futuristic world. They have the internet. He could have looked up good strength training regimens and done that, but he didn't. He stuck to writing in his notebook. So, again, like I said, I love Deku. I love him as a character. He has great character progression. And honestly, even though I have a gripe with this, I still probably wouldn't change it. You know, maybe he does the 10-month training. Then maybe when he fights the sludge monster, he actually does somewhat okay. Maybe I'd change it like that. But I probably still wouldn't. I think it's still good written. It's weird, and that's an issue I have with Deku. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Plus...